Okay. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh. My name is Zaid Masagos. I'm the head of Aman Amanah Advisory Group. Today I am very grateful and happy to be able to be with my team, which will be sharing on our topic for today's podcast, which is on 5 pillars of Islamic wealth. What are the 5 pillars of Islamic wealth? Okay, the first one is wealth management, cash flow practices as a practicing Muslim. Second one is wealth protection, where we talk about permissible insurance. The third one is wealth accumulation and investment, mainly on savings and sharia-compliant investments. And the fourth pillar, which is wealth purification, dismissal of impure wealth, and also zakat. Last but not least, we talk about wealth distribution, where we talk about wasiat, wakaf, sadaqah, nuzria, all that. So, with my team, I'll be asking them questions that we have accumulated over 10 years. Yes, you heard it right. Aman Amanah Advisory Group is celebrating this year in the year of 2023, 10th year in the financial industry on Islamic wealth specifically, whereby our team here I will ask them questions that we have accumulated over the 10 years, and they will answer specifically on each pillar. We got many questions. I will ask my fellow friends here, fellow teammates, on chosen questions on each pillar to share for this particular episode of podcast. Okay, I would like to welcome Encik Shafi. Assalamualaikum, Abang Shafi.
Waalaikumsalam, Mr. Zaid.
Yeah.
Alhamdulillah, how are you?
Okay, so by right,
Yes.
Abang Shafi ni dah retire. By right. But he still feels that the community, our Muslim community, very much needed our services, and he's still hanging on and doing his best to help.
Inshallah.
So,
the best that I can.
Abang Shafi,
Yes, Mr.
you
Zaid.
have a question that we have collated, and I believe you have met a number of our clients for this same question.
Okay.
Every time. And
Right.
this has a lot to do with one of the pillars, which is wealth distribution.
Okay.
Right?
Yes.
So this is on for CPF.
Okay.
We can nominate anybody.
Sure.
Okay? But for insurance, can we also do nominate anybody? Let's make it related to sharia compliance, which is
Okay.
our Islamic wealth practices.
Right.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Zaid, for that question. Alhamdulillah. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. I would say that for CPF, you can nominate basically anybody. And for insurance, because it's a nomination, right? But the fact that it is a nomination, it says you can nominate to anyone, nobody in particular, as long as you think that whoever deserves that portion of your fund that you want to inherit to, you can nominate. Yes, you can do so. Just like CPF, where you can also do your nomination to anybody, not in any particular order, or anybody you think who's deserving to receive your fund. I suppose it goes the same thing for insurance. You can also nominate to anyone that you think deserves some payout.
So nothing wrong to nominate outside of your beneficiaries of Faraid.
Of course, but when we talk about in terms of perspective, I would say we would like to bring in the family members first, right? Of course, the charity starts at home. So anything that you want to give away, you should be giving away to your own family members. So rightfully, it should be done in your next of kin. That means your children, if you have some, your parents. But even if you don't have, so someone who don't have, who don't have a family, you can also nominate to, what do you call that, organizations, right? This can be done in compliance with Sharia. I mean, we go along the Sharia-ness of the giving. It should be in that manner, lah. Family members, your next of kin, and then person in need. If you don't have any other family members to give away to, yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, then leads to the next question.
Okay,
which is if Muslims' assets is distributed under Faraid, why still need a wasiat?
Okay. This is the most common question that we face. Why do we need to have a wasiat when we are bounded by faraid?
Yeah.
I mean, we have our default system, which is the asset distribution for Muslims, which is governed under AMLA, which rightfully says that, you know, a Muslim a family upon decease, the assets will be distributed according to his family members, which is in the heirs of, that means the if they have a family, that means the kids, the wife, and the parents. These are the inner circles, right? Now, you see, Mr. Zaid, the faraid is a perfect system, right? It is a default system. It is governed by AMLA, so no doubt about it, no doubt about it. But who is going to administer this distribution? So let me bring you the purpose of having a will. A will is something is an instruction from the person upon decease to act for him, to distribute his assets, and also if there's liabilities, to dispose of the liabilities. Now we have to bear in mind that when we talk about assets, we have to talk about liabilities too. So who is going to help me, let's say if I'm deceased, to distribute according to faraid? So a will has its purpose. A will states, very importantly, the name of the executor, the one who will be actually distributing my asset or my liabilities to dispose of accordingly, right? So I have to have a person there to help me to dispose my asset. Because the faraid itself is just a system where the divisions are all in order, but who is going to distribute those things? So that's why I need a will. So the will, the importance of the will is that it states the name of an executor. So someone to help me to dispose my asset, or if I have liabilities, to help dispose of those liabilities accordingly, right? Now, besides the will, the importance of having a will, if somebody who doesn't have a family members, who is single, who is like, or maybe don't have parents, right? If he doesn't have a will, how is going to distribute his wealth to, right? He can specify 1/3 of the total asset that he has, which is provided under Islamic law, that you can distribute 1/3 of it to the non-beneficiaries. Okay, beneficiaries, as you know, will be including as I mentioned earlier on, the kids, the wife, and the parents that are still alive, the inner circle, we call it inner circle. And apart from that, if I want to have my asset distributed to someone else, I can do that from my 1/3 of my wealth, total my wealth. Yeah, this can include the madrasas, or even for that matter, an adopted child. Because an adopted child doesn't fall
under faraid.
Under faraid. You must be always be aware of this, which sometimes we are not, where we mislook or we overlook this position, right? So this is where the 1/3 portion helps to distribute to the adopted child or the organization I want to bequeath my wealth to, right? So I would
without
say
a will, you cannot do
you
that.
can't do that. You can't do that. And without a will, if you want to get someone to distribute, let's say, my wealth, I have to do it a long way. I have to get someone I have to appoint a court for an administrator, which will take a longer time for my asset to be distributed. So the will cuts down the process, right? Having the faraid in place is good, but you need to have a will to fasten the process of distributing the wealth. And in this case, if you have any liabilities, to dispose of the liabilities, inshallah.
Thank you. Very
I hope that
insightful,
clears.
Inshallah.
Alhamdulillah.
Definitely, Alhamdulillah. There are many questions anyway with regards to this particular pillar, but
Thank you.
For the time now today, a lot of things that we have to take consideration, we have to plan while we are still alive. Next member here, his name is Mr. Ash'ari. Very unique history between me and him is that we met prior from him joining us. We met 2 years before. I was giving a talk at NTU, and he was a student back then, and he was among the most responsive back then. And then after that, we didn't meet for a good 2 years. So he explore other careers or whatsoever, and somehow he appear on our door to us to join Aman Amanah Advisory Group. The question here you choose specifically here is what is Islamic wealth investment, and how does it differ? You started with that convention.
Yes. So this is the most common question out there. Why is Islamic investment different from just investment out there? So firstly, when we want to talk about Islamic investment, we have to understand that Islamic investment adheres to Islamic values. Conventional investment is basically earn as much money as possible. That's conventional.
Yes.
So for us to understand why investments can or cannot be deemed Islamic, we have to go through two set of filters. First filter is what is the investment, what is the industry that the investment is involved in. So in Islam, we can't do tobacco, we can't do pork, we can't do alcohol, we can't do excessive entertainment. These are all things that run contrary to Islamic values in the first place. So if you have investment that involve in industry like such, then out you go. It's no longer Islamic. So that's number one. After you clear the first filter, you go through the second filter. And second filters are all about financial ratios. So in Islam, debt and interest is not permissible because interest is riba. So having too much debt is considered not Islamic. Yep.
Okay.
So
how much is that?
okay.
Can you recall a little bit? Can you share with our fellow listeners?
Yes. So these financial ratios are set upon by a group of internationally recognized standards. So it is called AOFI, the Accounting and Auditing Organization for Islamic Financial Institutions. So this particular group collectively with like multiple Islamic scholars on it,
Which sits in the director board is one of our Sharia advisor, Dr. Akram Ladin.
exactly. So one of our external Sharia advisor, Dr. Akram, sits on the board that decide the international standard of Islamic investments. And this particular board will decide, okay, for example, debt to equity ratio cannot surpass, I believe it was 30%. Debt to asset ratio should not surpass 30%. Interest coverage ratio should not surpass 30%. Non-permissible income cannot exceed 5% of the total income that the investment brings in. So these are very strict set of rules that have to be imposed on investments to ensure that they remain Sharia compliant. If it falls out, then we consider it as non-permissible.
Thank you, Anshari. All right. So now the next question is, then in that case, with so much strict rules, do we actually have Islamic investment here in Singapore?
Exactly. That's always the follow-up question. What is Islamic investment? Have meh? Yeah, that's always the follow-up question. So in Singapore, yes, we have options.
Okay.
To list a few, so we have Islamic banking, we have Maybank, CIMB. Technically, Islamic banking is considered a certain form of investment because you do get very minimal returns, but returns nonetheless. We have Islamic fixed deposits, Maybank and CIMB. We have sukuks, we have unit trusts, we have sharia-compliant shares and stocks. But what I want to share most importantly is we have options, but sometimes people out there misrepresent options as being an Islamic alternative for the Muslims. So there's a lot of misrepresentation and misinformation out there. The first phrase that comes to mind is Muslim friendly. So we use Sharia compliant.
Okay.
So that's very clear cut. It's Sharia compliant means it's according to Islamic values. But what's Muslim friendly? You know? So we don't particularly know whether this is okay for Muslims to consume. It's just Muslim friendly. My favorite analogy is always, I have a lot of Chinese friends and they are friendly to me. They are Muslim friendly, but they are not Muslims. So that's how I like a lot of people out there, they do misrepresent, and my advice is do your own due diligence, do your own research, contact us. We'll be more than happy to help. Ask the scholars, ask your ustaz, ustazah, and all that. Do your own research, because at the end of the day, we are all Muslims and we want to do it the right way.
Or contact what
8482, that's right, people. 84829563.
Yeah, you just contact, send your questions you want to ask or you want to be clarified out of all the queries that you may have on Islamic wealth, on the insurance that you have, on the investment that you have. We will do our very best to answer you, or we'll send you a link that you can actually check with any one of those handsome and lovely ladies, handsome guys and lovely ladies of Aman Amanah Advisory Group. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullah. Okay, I would like to welcome the next team member. She joined us in the year 2022. She gave me a call. Very interesting. I got a call from her saying that interested in what we do on Islamic wealth, and then found out that she's already in the industry for 17 years, and very similar with me. It's like a calling. We are in the conventional financial industry, whereby we are doing all the not really Islamic, but we had the same concept of insurance protection above needs to help to cover the needs, the investment, make more money, all this the same, until one day, somehow, a few days as it goes along, are we doing the right thing?
Correct.
Right? Here are the questions that I would like to ask you, and it seems like it's something that you've been practicing over 15 years anyway.
Yes.
And in the perspective of an Islamic wealth advisor right now, which is, what are the common savings plan offered by insurers?
Okay, before I get to that, okay, what are the common instruments that being offered by insurers? I think first thing first, we must applaud for those who actually make the initiative, because again, when we talk about savings, when we talk about insurance, it all comes to our niat, our intention, right? I think first thing first, why people actually do invest, right, is actually to save, to have, and especially for insurance per se, is to have a disciplined way of savings. Okay, I think most of us try to save on all our own in our bank. Then what happened? After you save comes raya, then we tend to spend or splurge, you know, with the additional money that we have in our bank, right? And ended up you never get near to your goal. Okay. Back to your questions, what are the common instruments? Of course, we are talking about endowments, we are talking about annuities, or even investment-linked policies. These are the common plans offered by the insurers, right? Okay. Unfortunately, for endowments and annuity, there is no sharia compliance plan offered right now. Okay, let's all make a dua that it will come true, that one day there is a takaful endowment. All right.
Okay.
Okay. So when we feel that there's no sharia compliance, you know that means that it's not permissible. It's involved with riba because it's garal. The reason is you do not know where the insurers actually invest this on. Whether is it on entertainment, whether is it on gambling, or you don't know, you don't have a control. So that's why it is not permissible for you to invest in such, right? For investment link, I think one of my colleagues already addressed this, that yes, first thing first, you need to look at the funds. Ensure that the funds are sharia compliance. Okay, sharia compliance is just like halal chop. Okay, you know that you consume, definitely can eat. Okay, because there's someone who actually watch over all these funds, right? But funds alone is not. Funds alone is not the only thing that you need to look at. You also need to look at the contract. Okay, so if it's a halal fund but the contract is not permissible, it's also a no-go. So you need to look into a lot of perspective. That's why I said that you need to find an advisor who is very clear about what is permissible and what is not permissible. And as I did mention that why the reason I joined Financial Alliance, the reason I joined Zaid's team is because of FIWA team. Because our time is most of the time we meet up people, we have lots of questions. Unfortunately, we are also not the asatiza, you know. We need to have someone who monitor constantly on, okay, this is allowed, this is not allowed, what are the fatwas saying and everything. And these are the people who actually guide us accordingly for us to help our clients accordingly as well.
Thank you, Malini. Wonderful answer. So then, in that which makes sense which is on the next question. If the person or our fellow Muslim brother or sister already have an endowment plan.
I see. Okay,
How?
this is like a question back to my face, okay? Because being 15 years in the industry, I am a pro endowment girl. Okay, I started endowment as young as when I was in my early 20s. Now still early, but cannot say lah. Okay, okay. So back to the question, right? Of course, if you have the means, if you have the courage, be like me, I stop right away. Okay. If I do incur losses at about 5-digit figures, but I tawakal. I said that okay, my intention is I want to start all over again because I still do have time and still have long way. Midway to my retirement, right? Inshallah, right? Then I do not want to waste that opportunity, right? I absorb that losses and then I just leave it up to Allah for that. Okay, but having said that, okay, you see, sometimes it's also depend on what other resources that you have. Okay, for example, if you just started an endowment, maybe 1 or 2 years, probably you do not even have any cash value at all, right?
Yeah, it's as good as zero.
Exactly. So people would say that, oh no, let's wait till you break even. For example, okay, then look at it this way. If you climb a ladder and you fall from the ladder, which is more painful? You just about to climb or you already midway through it?
That's the analogy lah. So you halfway then you fall, that's very painful lah.
Correct. The higher you are, the harder the fall is. The more painful it is. Okay. Okay. Why I make use of this analogy is because that yes, you look at your loss, your 2 years of loss, right? But you overlook on your opportunity. You probably have more than 10 years of opportunity, right? So the opportunity is the one that you actually would want to take the advantage of for you to regrow your money the sharia compliance way, the more permissible way, and for you to even have your peace of mind, right? I think we all need to be clear here that riba is one of the concerns that if you do, no police will ever catch you, right? But in the hereafter, Allah and His Messenger will wage a war against you. That's how serious riba is, right? And some ulama even mentions that riba is like you're having 36 times of zina. Not, you know.
The sin.
Yes, the
is
sin.
Worse than 36
yes,
times
36 of zina, and zina is with your own kind, your own father, your own mother, incest, right? So that is how serious riba is, right? So now you ask yourself, do you want to really wait? And what if halfway waiting, your time is up? Right? So I would rather that I lose my 5-digit with the peace of mind, right? And start all over again. And inshallah, Allah will protect me, will always give me more rezeki, more barakah. Then I wait until I break even. I wouldn't even know that whether that time may come.
Yeah, I mean, one of my early experience before you guys were with me, back then when I was one of my clients, he go through the maturity time already. I went through the endowment, very related to this, on this particular pillar of investment and accumulation. So when I talk to him, he has matured plan, but the plan can still keep. That means he did not surrender it. He didn't take the majority. He leave it there because it's making money. Then I was sharing what you shared, and then he went through. Then he took him 2 years to decide. 2 years. So eventually he called me and he said, Zaid, I think I
It's time.
have to let go.
Yes, yes.
And when I sat down with him, it's a total of, to date is still the record, $54,000
Wow.
that he needs to purify. Which leads to the next pillar. We're going to meet our next teammate. So thank you,
You're most
Malini.
welcome.
Thank you very much for your time. Thank you very much, Malini, for sharing on the one of the pillars, which is on enhancement and accumulation. So our next person that I'll be inviting, which will be the last one to share on Islamic wealth, is Ustazah Surina. Come, have a seat, please. Okay, thank you very much, Surina. She's one very humble lady who do not want to be called Ustazah from the very first time I know her. But I insist because I want her to be very proud of how much she have achieved and her wonderful journey with us. I think it's already coming 5 years.
Yes, inshallah.
5 years already?
Yes.
Yeah, Alhamdulillah. So, what is this wealth purification? We happen to be one of the pillars of Islamic wealth.
Okay. We would like to put wealth purification as the last pillar of Islamic pillars of Islamic wealth. So it's really a hallmark, okay? Because you do not find Islamic or wealth purification in the conventional finance system. There's no such thing as purification. So what is it actually? Purification, to clean, to cleanse. Okay. So there is this hadith, a very popular hadith. Just quote a bit. Allah is pure and He only accepts pure. Okay. From Muslim, you can get it from Muslim. So Allah is pure and He only accepts the pure. Okay. So with regards to in our daily lives, when we, I mean, when we eat what is halal. So this one is not only pertaining to, this hadith is not only pertaining to wealth. It's also pertaining to your food, pertaining to whatever gains that you have, your clothes that you wear, the food that you eat. Everything must be from halal sources lah, including your wealth. Okay. So if there is impure or impurity, or you would say like haram stuff, okay, from your wealth, what do? You cannot spend it on yourself. Haram lah. So Allah doesn't accept, okay, or does, and is, you are going to be asked in the hereafter. Okay, so I would like to just maybe share my personal experience. When I was last time when I was a civil servant, right? I had credit cards, and after I mean I would say my lifestyle, I do not indulge in. I'm not the type that I would say like spend a lot of spend. I don't really spend much. I spend mostly on food. However, I was, how come I still got debts? How come there's these debts that it's very difficult to finish off paying? Very, very difficult for me to finish paying off the debts and the loans that I have. So after getting to know you, and you coming out very strongly about riba, it's like day and time. It's really something in Malay they say like basahan baju, you pakai baju basahan, like it's so pervasive, okay, and we always like maybe don't see, we practice and we don't even know that we are practicing riba. You see, either we take riba or we give riba, but normally we actually give riba.
Yes.
We give riba. So the thing that I think only really changed a lot pre compared to post, right? Pre coming to Aman Amanah and then now post, is that I don't have credit card lah. I don't have credit card. I was serious about it because I was like asking you, but there's many, me and also my clients, they have credit cards. They spend, they have, but they don't actually incur the monthly. They pay in full.
Yes.
But I said that should be okay, right? That should be okay, right? However, your stand is?
My stand is very simple. You're still supporting the
Yes, we are still supporting the system. So, listen to you. I listened to you, and I'm glad I did. Alhamdulillah, I can see more barakah in my life. That's all. That's all I want to see. If you have like issues about cash flow and also even having credit cards, having loans and all that, what to do? Okay. So back to that purification question. So you need to ensure that you do not deal in riba. Okay,
Yes.
so in the event that let's say you have such things and then you need to cleanse it, don't say, oh okay, I don't eat with the money. Okay, pay I pay what? Town council. I pay road tax. So can you use that money, which actually, let's say for example, investments which are non-sharia compliant. So you got some profits, right? But the funds is actually what cannot because casino or gambling
Yes.
or brewery. Okay. So or financials, that means riba. Okay, your fund is actually banking, so cannot. So never mind lah, I don't eat lah, I don't spend my family, but I pay income tax or I pay road tax lah. Can or not? Our stand is cannot lah.
Yeah, because it benefits
Because
us.
it benefits us. You don't spend your money, your hard-earned money from salary on your family, but you spend that money which is actually incurred from impure wealth lah. That's why
Yes.
need to purify. You need to understand this concept when we need to purify any impure wealth that we have. When we do that, okay, more barakah in your life. And again, like it's back to that dalil, that narration or hadith. Okay, that Allah accepts the pure. Allah don't accept which is from impure means. Okay, from riba and so on and so forth.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, then it comes to this another pillar which I keep on listening, hearing that you keep mentioning repeatedly on the word barakah, which also leads to one of your question, the question that we constantly receive, which is on the five pillars of the Islamic wealth. One of it is the pillars of distribution. And on the barakah part, whereby what would it be other than other aspects of Islamic wealth that we know of? Sadaqah, zakat, and wakaf.
Okay, so we're not talking about the fourth pillar.
Yes.
Okay, so we're talking about the
Because
wealth
it was from the
distribution.
purification, you want to
Yeah.
get the barakah out of
Yeah.
it. But this barakah actually has a lot to do with this distribution,
Yeah.
the wealth. Yes.
So what I can say is, mashallah, mashallah. Okay, so you see, our Islamic pillars of wealth, we have for dunya, as well as the akhirah bit. Akhirah bit is the purification and also the distribution actually.
Yes.
Okay, so the distribution, we are talking here about sadaqah, we're talking here about zakat, we're talking here about wakaf, we're talking here about wasiat. Okay, wasiat maybe was touched upon earlier on, so I'm not going to deal with that. So sadaqah, wakaf and zakat. So all this is actually investment also, correct?
But you just don't benefit there and then. It
Yeah,
doesn't see immediate.
yeah.
It's like giving it away.
Yeah, it's actually investment for our hereafter.
Yeah.
That's one thing concept as a Muslim we need to understand lah. So why is there the obligatory zakat? We have to as Muslims, one of the pillars of Islam, okay, to give the zakat. So we help those who in need, the asnafs, right? And then we have the all these, of course, in the verses, of course, as Muslims we all know is obligatory. Then we have the sadaqah. You even when you spend on your family, okay, good spending on them is also pahala sedekah for you.
Yes.
Yeah, and also when you give alms, okay, there's also verses in the Quran. When you give alms, Allah will double it, will multiply your wealth. So as someone who is a believer, why wouldn't we want our wealth to be multiplied? We just give lah, we sedekah with the correct intention. We give, inshallah, Allah will let Allah do the rest because He has promised. Allah never breaks His promise. He says it in the Quran. Okay, so that's beautiful. The beautiful thing about our religion, yeah. So sedekah is there, we do, and also again, all this comes about when we actually get, or rather when we have our money, when we invest. Okay, when we do invest, we enhance our wealth, and then there's extra or whatsoever, then we be able to do all this. We are able to grow our wealth. When we save, we invest, we can grow our wealth. We can be the better Muslims in the sense that we are the right hand that can give, that can give rather than the recipient. We want to be the giver than the recipient. So that's my aspiration for all the Muslims lah. Okay, our brothers and sisters. And the last bit, talking about wakaf. So wakaf also, there's a very popular hadith, right? So when the son of Adam dies, okay, his deeds are gonna be stopped. Okay, except for three. Okay, the first one is actually sadaqah. the beneficial sadaqah. That means this is what we're talking about, wakaf. Okay, the second one is actually beneficial knowledge, and the third one is your pious son or daughter or child who makes doa for you. So other than that, your deeds are all stopped already. So how do we want to ensure that we keep on or still have these deeds going on and going on and going on? Our children, they make dua for us, yes, but for how long? 20 years, 30 years after us, maybe they also die. Okay, they also pass on. Beneficial knowledge is one. So please teach beneficial knowledge to others. When others share, we get the deeds. And the other one is wakaf. Okay, charitable or we call it an endowment. So this is in the hadith is sadaqah jariyah. Jariyah means it's continuous. Okay, it's continuous. So that's translated to our wakaf here, wakaf system that we have. Okay, so it will continue as long as that harta wakaf actually continues to bring benefit to mankind. We will get the deeds, mashallah. So this is actually complete our our pillars of wealth in the dunya and in the hereafter. Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. Wonderful sharing, Ustaz Surina. Thank you very much for your time.
You're welcome.
Okay. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi. Thank you.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
My dear friend Ashraf, I would like to have this question that you have specifically chosen to be asked. I believe it is the most common question. Are there any takaful insurance available in Singapore?
Right. First and foremost, Assalamualaikum semua. My name is Ashraf. Thank you, Zaid, for having me in the podcast. Right. So the question was asked whether is there a takaful insurance or rather existing takaful insurance in Singapore. Before I answer that question, perhaps let us understand what is a takaful insurance at the first place. So, simply to put it in simply layman terms, takaful insurance is simply known as Islamic insurance without the presence of Garar, which is known as Garar is ambiguity, Mese, which is gambling, and also riba, which is usury. When in terms of the risk, right, for conventional insurance, the risk is being transferred over to the insurer. Whereas for a takaful insurance, right, the risk is being shared over people who contribute.
So it's shared.
Shared.
Yeah, okay.
Of course, in the hopes of promoting the spirit of mutual contribution, mutual assistance, yes. Regarding in terms of where the money is being invested. Of course, when you look for a conventional insurance, when you look at the product summary or the policy illustration, the insurer, of course, you won't have certain things, you won't have any, depending on what policy you take, you won't have any control on where the money is being invested on. And at the back end of the policy illustration or the product summary, you will see that they will only highlight to you the asset classes, namely real estates or the bonds that's being involved in. Whereas for a takaful insurance, in order to generate some kinds of profits, is being invested into a sharia-compliant assets. Yes. So
and more detail, right?
And more detail.
It's
correct.
not hidden.
It's not
people
hidden.
know it's
Transparency,
it's
basically.
Transparency,
Yeah.
one of the key
Correct.
factors. Yeah.
Now, to answer, relating back to the question, whether does it still exist in Singapore? As of now, unfortunately, we don't have any takaful products in Singapore. What we do have are takaful funds, franking temperature houses. Now, the thing is, do we just not buy insurance at all? I would say the answer is no lah. Basically, why? Because we go by the purview of having this concept of necessity, or rather we say darura. And of course, certain things is made permissible, and whereby you cannot take up certain products, but only limited products. Example like term insurance, as well as investment-linked policies with Sharia funds.
Then my question just now when I heard you say there's takaful fund but not takaful plan.
Right. Okay.
And that is also one of the common question, right? Yeah. So people have the misconception that a takaful fund, you buy a plan with a takaful fund becomes a takaful plan. Yes. Your
Right.
take on that.
So yeah, basically yes, correct. So as what we know, right, takaful fund is a Sharia compliant fund. However, the plan itself is still a conventional plan, right? So from there, I would say, please, if let's say you are meeting advisors out there, please do your due diligence. And as advisors, I think you have a better judgment on how whether how can you differentiate between a takaful plan, a takaful fund, or takaful insurance.
So there isn't any takaful insurance. There is a conventional plan that rides on along with it a takaful fund.
Correct.
All right. So then the next question would be, since there are people who say that since there's no takaful plans, it's okay to buy normal insurance.
Okay, right. Yes, thank you for the question, first and foremost. It's a rather a very common question whereby we say that, okay, so just because that I don't have a takaful insurance plan, that means that I can take up insurance terms like insurance policies like whole life, endowment plans, all this, right? Then again, as Muslim, we still want to do exercise cautionary measures so as to not being implicated into this kind of non-compliant plans. Where, if let's say for those of you who are already into these non-compliant kind of plans like whole life and endowments, all this, right? I would say, now I do look up in the web, right? And I do saw some, I would say, quite shocking answers lah. Let me give you an example. For a person who already have a whole life plan, they think it is permissible because they find that if let's say I have a term plan, right? I find that I cannot have the discipline to pay for the term plan. Then another reason they give me was, I read through was, because let's say my term plan lasts until 65. So example, if let's say I outlive my term, if let's say I still want to continue the coverage, I need to renew, right? And when I renew, the underwriter is going to underwrite me based on that current age of 65. And that's going to cost me a lot. That's one reason. For investment policies, right, I wouldn't say their excuse, their reason is because of their low risk appetite. Then the thing is they need to take up a side, and the thing is they don't have that kind of risk tolerance to take up that kind of higher risk kind of investments. That's where from there they will say that, hey, I think whole life is a better plan, or rather a plan that I prefer. Yeah, I would say these are just some of the reasons.
So with the absence of takaful plan, the current recommendation or the advice that we give, right, is actually to buy a term and invest the difference. So we buy a term plan which is currently temporary permissible, and you invest on sharia funds, right? So, and a whole life traditional plans consist of riba and all those, so that we really need to actually scrutinize and take a look and share whether is it sharia compliant or is it permissible in the first place. So thank you, Ashraf.
Thank you.
All my team there sharing with you some of their wonderful knowledge with regards to the 5 pillars of Islamic wealth. You can always contact us at 84829563, or please please go to the link. Okay, please go to the link and answer all the questions, and we will get back to you as fast as we can with regards to these 5 pillars of Islamic wealth, and to help you achieve to be a riba-free living Muslim. Signing off, Zaid Masagos. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi. Ya Rab, Ya Rab. Tu lepas buka. Okay.